What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Friends Talking. I'm Chase. This is my co-host Ricky, and this is our weekly podcast where we talk about all things sports, drinking, bullshitting, you name it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it only took you about 6 or 7 takes to make that happen, but we'll go with it. Pretty interesting process we got going here, but it's working. I like
It's all
it.
right. It's all right. It's a learning process.
Yeah. Very interesting week 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Had Sunday flew by. I literally sat and watched all of the games all day.
Yep.
It was great. Very weird. The fantasy sphere was just odd.
Yeah, there's
Just
a lot
odd.
There's a lot of big name players that didn't do anything, and vice versa.
Very weird. I had a good week in my real life fantasy. Except for one league where you kicked the shit out of me. But I can't ever beat you for some fucking reason. It blows my mind.
I don't know. But anyways, how about this? Do you have one or two players maybe you want to talk about that? What is your biggest surprise of week 1, from fantasy wise? Maybe you like the share that they got. Maybe they got more catches or rushes than you thought, or they just overperformed?
I was very big on Cooper Kupp before the season started.
Okay, yeah, and he balled out.
Everybody was on the Puka Nacua train, and I said, guys, don't worry, Cooper Kupp is going to be the number 1 again. I tried to draft him in all my leagues, missed out on 2 of them, which is upsetting. But he turned the clock back. I think he had 21 targets, which is insane. And the other guy I really enjoyed watching was DeMarvion Overshown. Hook him.
Yep.
Linebacker out of Texas, had to take a redshirt year in the NFL because he tore his ACL. But that dude was flying. And he made Micah Parsons look slow at one point, which is unbelievable, going for a sack. And, I mean, just made Deshaun Watson his bitch, which everybody should do that at any chance they could get.
Right. Well, and it's funny. You've been high on the Cooper Kupp train for the last few weeks, saying how he's going to retake the number 1 role, and especially with Puka getting injured now, and I saw they're going to put him on the short-term IR, so at least 4 weeks. I mean, I think he's going to be a big fantasy target over these next few weeks also, so definitely somebody to possibly be looking to add in your lineups. You went with a little bit of a lesser-known name, but I'm going to take the easy route here, and also TJ Watt and the Steelers' defense surprised me. I mean, I think he had like 3 sacks, a forced fumble. He looked like typical TJ Watt, defensive player of the year candidate TJ Watt, and I think that's going to be a good defense, just like it's always been, and he's going to be a large part of that.
I agree. He had a bunch of bad breaks. I think he only actually got 1 sack that stayed on the record book, because the other 2 got wiped out for ticky-tack bullshit penalties. I mean, let's be honest. But he was just all over the field. That defense was ferocious. Kirk Cousins can't move, and if he tried to, they put a hurting on him, and Kirk was looking real old. And as somebody who's a big fan of his, as you are, I'm sure that was pretty disappointing to see.
Didn't even watch the game, so
fuck him. Didn't even watch the game, huh?
Didn't even watch that game. But anyways, look, Rick, let's hop in and take a look at last week's lineups and see how we did. You did pretty good. Unfortunately, I didn't. So you want to go over your team and where you placed?
Yeah, so I placed, let's see, where was it? 133rd out of 595. I won $6, doubled my money.
Hell yeah.
Which is always good. I had a lot of disappointments in Dalton Kincaid, Terry McLaurin, really DJ Moore. ETN had a fumble, and he honestly didn't get the rush share that I thought he was going to have. Bigsby had a lot of work.
Yeah,
which is kind of disappointing. But my bright spots, Cooper Kupp, already talked about him. Chris Godwin, I got him in a couple leagues. I figure he's working out of the slot now. He's going to be a target hog. And the Chicago Bears, I knew they would make Will Levis look terrible. They won the game because of the defense. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, fumble recovery, 3 sacks, made him look terrible. And then we got a great meme with the dude on his knees sitting now for eternity, and I love it. It's beautiful. Love defenses in fantasy football.
Anytime you can get your defense to put up points like that, you're gonna do well. On top of having Cooper Kupp, and honestly, your team didn't even perform that great, and you were still in the money. I mean, you had multiple players underperform, but because of the defense and Cooper Kupp and Chris Godwin,
Chris Godwin,
your team did well. So
I agree.
Week 1, Rick is in the money.
in the money. I'm positive so far. So I can't sneeze at that. I'm happy about it. We'll see if we can get the win here.
Now, unfortunately, Team Your Boy Chase is not in the money. We placed 365th out of 595. It was just an all-around disaster for my team, if we're being honest. I took a shot with Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, thinking the stack would work. I forgot that the stack sucked. So, Aaron Rodgers put up less than 10 points. If you look at my line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in single-digit points, that's not a recipe for winning. I will say, Kenneth Walker surprised me. He didn't surprise me. I expected it, but he did well. 20 points, almost 21 points. He got the lion's share of the carries, which was kind of expected, and I think that's going to be the case for the year.
Yeah, and we both had ETN. Again, disappointing. But James Conner, I kind of made fun of the pick because I was like,
you said, I even texted Ricky because he said, James Conner doesn't catch the ball. And I said, doesn't matter. And then I think within the first 5 minutes of the game, James Conner had like 3 catches for like 30-something yards. And I even texted him and I said, James Conner, 3 catches, 33 yards. Suck it. So, I'm a big fan of James Conner.
He finished with 3 catches, but
not about how you finish, it's about how you start.
17.8 points is not nothing. That's good. That's a good week.
And then last to kind of to talk about Stephon Diggs, we called it. I said, he's going to get his touches. He's going to get a touchdown because, got to keep the locker room happy. And he actually got 2. So that's great. But I'll say my biggest disappointment from our fantasy teams this week was Terry McLaurin. I had very high hopes for him. And for him to come out and put up 2.7 points, that's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, I agree. That was pretty bad. You'll see with our future picks, the next one we're gonna do. I've got them coming hopefully on a redemption tour because they're facing the Giants.
Okay.
But this week was abysmal.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was abysmal.
But I didn't win any money this week, so I'm down. But hopefully we can bounce back next week. So Rick, you want to take us in with your picks and go over your lineup for next week or for this week?
I think I built an absolute piss missile of a team here.
Okay.
This team is just beautiful. I got Matthew Stafford. He's going to throw the ball all over the yard. I got him. I got with him paired with the Cooper Kupp, the stack.
Okay. Stack, love that.
The targets, the catches. Puka's out. He's going to be a target hog. He's going to catch a lot of balls. He's still underpriced in this.
Yeah, how much is he?
As far as I'm 7,700.
Damn, that's cheap. That's actually I might need to change mine now.
He's cheap. And I think it's great. With running backs, I went Jahmyr Gibbs and J.K. Dobbins. I think now that Jim Harbaugh's there in Los Angeles, they're going to run the ball.
I agree.
They ran the ball when they were down. They ran the ball when they were up. They're going to run the football.
Well, and Dobbins had a really good week last week, right?
Yeah, he had like 130-something yards. He's going to be a workhorse for them. It was encouraging to see that Gus Edwards didn't tear into his carries too many times like he would do in Baltimore. They kind of just let him pound the rock. He had a really good game. Hopefully that continues. He's a little cheaper option, and I think it'll work out good. Gibbs, I'm just banking on the receptions, the electricity he brings to the field.
Yeah,
I think he'll end up
they're definitely still doing the split backfield situation.
Yeah, 100%.
But if he can get those catches, he'll come out on top.
Yeah. Then I got Chris Godwin. Like I said, I also think he'll be a reception master. He's going to be open. He's got a 2-way go every time he steps on the field working out of the slot. And then I also have the best for last out of my core wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, I like that.
We're facing New Orleans. I say we. Dallas is facing New Orleans. I'm unbiased here. Facing New Orleans, I think he just makes them his bitch. I do.
Okay.
He didn't catch a touchdown this game. Coming off
needed
a
contract. I needed them to for my bride picks.
I think they're going to throw the ball out because they have a decent front seven. So I want CD to feast here. He had a couple big catches in this game. He was one of the only. Him and Brandon Cooks are about the only people that could catch the ball in that game.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad. So I think CeeDee Lamb's going to end up being like a 7-8 catch game, over 100 yards, maybe a touchdown. That's kind of where I think that game will go. I went with Tucker Kraft as my tight end. I went cheap at tight end.
Who does he even play for?
He plays for the Packers.
Okay.
He outsnapped Luke Musgrave, who I thought was their starter. Turns out I was wrong. He had more routes ran, more targets. They're going to have a backup quarterback in there, so they're probably going to target the tight end a lot. That's kind of my thinking here. I think it's going to be like one of those Isaiah Likely type picks where he just goes off because backup quarterback's going to throw a piss missile at him because he's got a huge arm and is not accurate. So he's just going to keep throwing it at his face. That's kind of my hope with that one. Like I said,
but that's one of those picks that is boom or bust. Because like if he goes off for like 25 points and he's very low selection rate, like you're gonna look like a genius.
Yeah, and then like I said, I'm on the redemption tour here with Terry McLaurin. This is gonna make or break what I think his season will be right here against the Giants. The Giants are a shit team. They're terrible. There's nothing
were not good last week.
There's nothing good about them. They weren't good last week. They haven't been good before. They should get a lot of opportunities with the ball because Daniel Jones he's bottom 3 quarterback that's starting in the league right now. Bottom 3 for sure. And he's a $40 million a year quarterback. I don't think there's many people I take him over at quarterback. He's thrown more pick sixes than touchdowns since he got his $140 million deal.
Yeah, that's crazy stat.
Which is insane. And it's for the same reason I went with the Commanders defense, because they're facing Daniel Jones. I just, as long as they go positive, get me about 8 to 10 points, I'll be happy.
I like it.
So that's my squad. I think that's a winner. That's a damn good squad.
I think you said the same thing last week.
Yeah, and I made money.
Fair enough.
I made a winner. It won. It wasn't the winner, but I won. So what's your team looking like? I want to see what you built over here.
Well, speaking of winners.
Your dungeons.
Speaking of winners, that's what we got here today. They might lose 9 times, but not this week. We're also going on somewhat of a redemption tour for a lot of these fellas. At the top, we're going with the new $240 million man, Dak Prescott. First off, I don't think the Saints are that good. I've been pretty vocal about this in one of my group chats where one of my friends is a Saints fan. He claims that they're going to beat us outright and never lose a game this season now. I told him they're going to lose this week and next week and probably in 3 weeks. They have like 3 games of the next 4 that they're going to lose, at least for sure.
Derek Carr throws 2 picks.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. But I think the Saints defense is significantly worse than Cleveland's. That's the thing. He didn't have Dak had an okay game, but we're also playing against probably the second or third best defense in the NFL. So much easier opponent here. And to pair him up, I'm going with CeeDee Lamb. They looked good at the start of the game last week, but the second half they just couldn't get it going. So I think we're gonna see a little bit of a resurgence here from him this week. On top of that, I'm going with my stud James Conner. I had a lot of faith in him last week. They faced the Rams, who don't have Aaron Donald anymore, so that front's not the same. He got his touches and he did well with them, so I think we're going to continue to see that this week. This is a guy who I really am torn on if I like him in fantasy or not. And I have him in one of my actual leagues, and that's Ramondre Stevenson. He had a great week last year. He had a great week last week. 23 fantasy points against the Bengals. Now they're facing Seattle, who is Seattle's defense better than Cincinnati's?
They're probably both middle of the pack.
Same, great. Yeah. But look, he was workhorse. He got like 23, 24 touches. He had a touchdown. He had, I think, 100 yards or so. So he had a great week. Going to roll with the hot hand. I think he looks good, so let's take it. Now, where I am kind of taking a gamble here is my receiver 2 and 3. I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. He only put up 0.89 fantasy points last week, which is bad. That's like 1 catch for like negative yards, roughly. Anyways, y'all do the math. But I think he's going to have a bounce back here. Once again, not facing as good of a defense at the Rams. I think they're going to make an effort to get him the ball this week. We saw the video on Twitter of him being wide open at the end of the game, and his 4'2" quarterback couldn't see him. But that's okay. I don't height shame here. Even though I am 6'3", it's okay. I understand people aren't. But I think he's going to have a bounce back week this week and look to maybe get in the end zone for the first time in his career and have a good game.
Yeah, it's a safe bet in those divisional matchups to bet on a shootout, and that's kind of what my theory was too with Stafford and Kupp. I just picked the better receiver.
Yeah, not a bad
for something that's going to have a shootout, and the team with the better quarterback. I like Kyler, but he still has trouble seeing the field sometimes for my taste. But
I agree.
I think he's still viable in fantasy.
Well, my next 2 players I'm going to talk about here did not have trouble seeing the field, and that's Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. I'm going with 2 vet wide receivers who also underperformed last week. Amari didn't do anything against Dallas, and Keenan did not do great at all against Tennessee. I think Caleb Williams is going to be.
Fault.
I know. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a little bit more comfortable this week, which will help him get the ball around. I mean, he had the nerves of his first NFL game, so I think they're going to get settled in a little bit here, and I think Keenan Allen will do much better this week, so I'm taking that gamble, and same with Amari Cooper. Jacksonville's defense is nothing like Dallas's. He's not having to face Trayvon Diggs, and he's not having to have Micah Parsons go after his quarterback, so he'll get open, he'll get his touches, and I think he'll be good this week for me. Now this is
good picks. Good picks. I think that'll be good.
Now the tight end position is tough for me because there's not a lot of elite good tight ends right now, like the prospect of them. So Isaiah Likely had a great week last week out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that. I've got the waiver claim in for him in my leagues to see if I can get him, which would be nice, but I probably won't. But yeah, I like him here again. Vegas.
If he does, it's because he's commissioner and there's some fucking collusion going on.
We don't do that here. But Vegas, not a good defense. He's coming off that tough game against Kansas City where he went off, and I expect them to keep riding the hot hand. Mark Andrews has kind of been relegated to a rotational battle with Isaiah Likely, I guess, and he's balled out, so let's take it. And then I
think Isaiah Likely is you're not going to see that every week. It's going to be more, he'll regress to maybe 10 points. He's going to get his touches because he's like a big slot, is what they're using him. And they'll put him and Andrews on the field at the same time, and everyone's covering Andrews, leaving him open. At some point, they're going to have to realize, hey, we can't do that.
Hopefully that's not this week.
We'll see when that happens.
And honestly, 9 points, 10 points, still more than what Dalton Kincaid put up for me last week. So we ride. And lastly, my defense. I'm going my homer pick here, the Cowboys defense. First off, like I said, the Saints, don't think they're that good. They looked good against Pop Warner team and the Carolina Panthers. So give me Dallas. Micah Parsons is he had 1 sack. He could have had 3 sacks. I think they said the Cowboys had 6 or 7 sacks as a team. They had 2 interceptions?
Yeah, 2 interceptions.
2 interceptions. They had a punt return for a touchdown.
10. Yeah, 3 of the top 10 people in pressures.
Yeah.
For the week 1. So they had a rough go.
Yeah, and I also, like I said, I don't think New Orleans' offensive line is as good as Cleveland's either. So Derek Carr is going
to be interesting.
Derek Carr is going to get pressure put on him. So I'm looking for Dallas to put up 15 plus fantasy points on defense again this week. Cool. Well,
you want to show them what league we're in so
yes,
they can join if
they
want to?
So we're in the same league that we were in last week, the $3 buy-in, 1.5K Thursday NFL Juke. So to do this, you just go and you sort by slate and you do Thursday, and it's a full roster, and y'all can compete against us. If you do join, comment below, and we'll keep a lookout for your name and see if you can beat us. Right now, Rick's ahead in the prize pool, but maybe hey, look, all it takes is me getting first place this week to be way ahead.
Hey, I'd be happy if we both were in the money. We can both be in the money on this.
Yeah, we're not competing against each other. We're competing with each other.
Yeah, just if there's one spot left to make money, I'm going to be in that spot.
Fair enough. I can't blame you for that. But anyways, Rick, let's hop over and do our pick'ems. So let's pass it to you.
All right. So for the pick'ems, I talked about wanting to be a little bit better than 500. When exactly 500?
Expected.
Yeah. Which is odd. There was a lot of weird spreads. A lot of games I didn't think would, like this game. That sucked. It would have been cool if Jordan Love had the opportunity to win here. Kansas City, I expected that. It almost wasn't the case, though. Almost lost this one, too. If it wasn't for a toe.
Yeah.
This game, I wasn't expecting Kirk to look so shit. The Falcons and Steelers, I was not expecting Kirk to look so shit.
Yeah, that was surprising.
They were in the pistol for like 90% of his snaps, and he took like 1 or 2 steps for most of the time. You can't operate an offense like that.
I was seeing some clips on Twitter, and they're showing similar to Rodgers, where it's almost just like they don't trust that injured foot or leg, or maybe they just can't yet. I don't know.
Yeah, it may be a few weeks before they start putting in more offense, but like that's tough to just play out of the pistol in the NFL.
Yeah.
Cardinals game, I was happy this went the right way. Barely covered. I was real worried about it. I was watching this game, and it came down to the wire. They covered though, just inside.
Yeah.
I did think they would win outright, but that didn't happen. But it doesn't matter when you're betting against the spread. I should have known better.
Yeah.
The 4.5 points was too much. I thought the Bears. I even said the Bears would win, but Tennessee would cover. I should have known better. Will Levis, the only thing he can do is chuck mayo into his coffee.
I was going to say, putting your faith in somebody that puts mayo in their coffee, we should have known.
Yeah, should have known. This one was predictable, very close to not happening. I mean,
yeah.
If Anthony Richardson just gets a little bit more accurate, this is a way different game.
Well, and that's one of those ones where, I mean,
he's got a rocket arm.
They covered by half a point,
Yeah.
Like the Texans, I mean, that game, the Colts very well could have won that game,
Oh, absolutely. If Richardson has 2 or 3 yards difference on a couple throws, AD Mitchell has 3 touchdowns, and this is a blowout.
Yeah.
Just a crazy game. Anthony Richardson looks like a beast. He just needs to learn how to control his arm because it's a fucking rocket. It's incredible.
Blazing him.
I mean, you should have seen it. It was crazy. 70 yards with a dude hanging on you. Wild. Jaguars choked this one. They really did. They did everything they could to lose this game. I did think Miami would win by more. More than
they kicked the game-winning field goal and they win by 3. It's
it's just tough. It's like the script. This was scripted.
Yeah, it's rigged.
We both were completely wrong here. We thought the Bengals were going to dog walk the Patriots. This game isn't even as close as it is.
Yeah, no, that was crazy.
The Patriots were so much better, and which is wild.
Now, was it the Patriots being better, or were the Bengals just bad, or was it a combination of both?
Joe did not look good to me.
Yeah.
Jamar hadn't practiced, so it's tough to. But like T. Higgins is out, but Joe just and he kept messing with his wrist on the sidelines.
I saw that.
So I don't know what's going on there. He's not looking good for your MVP pick off the.
All right, look, it's 1 week.
Panthers, I should have known better.
Yeah.
They were so bad. I thought the game was going to be reversed, to be honest with you. I didn't think Bryce Young would be that bad. That was terrible. It was just over in the first
I've seen a lot of people saying that they think at some point Bryce Young might get benched this year and they might already move on. What's your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't be surprised with how he's played. Which, granted, this offense is not conducive to a young quarterback playing well.
I agree.
Schematically, it's just not great, but you can't get worse than what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Like the only worst thing might be Daniel Jones. Speaking of which, Daniel Jones here, just gift wrapping.
Yeah.
Minnesota with it. Hey, Sam Darnold could be the quarterback of the future for them.
I'm changing my MVP pick to him.
He looked great.
Yeah, started 12 for 12.
Like, and he's still relatively young. Like, if JJ comes back next year, there could be a legitimate competition for this job. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Darnold won because he had all the tools. It's just putting it together.
Yeah.
So that was very surprising by the Vikings. I figured they'd stomp them, but I didn't think it would be because this looks closer than it was.
Yeah.
This looks closer than it was. Like this game, if I would have looked at the score and it was 50-0, I wouldn't have been shocked. Because that's how the game went.
Right.
Which hopefully that continues every time they play. Broncos, you knew better than I did. I was wrong.
Shocker.
You were right. I give you that one. Chargers, we both called this one, I'm pretty sure. Jim Harbaugh, new team.
Yeah.
They're going to run the football. Get the ball to their supporting cast. Ladd McConkey looked pretty good. I like that team, what they've got going on. They're going to do it the right way. Joe Alt absolutely neutralized Mac Crosby. This one, shocker. Baker Mayfield looked like.
Yeah.
He looked great. He was wheeling and dealing.
We both expected Tampa to win that game. I didn't expect them to look that dominant.
Yeah,
they looked good. They looked very good.
In that group chat that Baker's dealing. Like he looked untouchable, and they played great. So hopefully that'll continue for them because I like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and I hope they continue to do well.
Feed them the rock.
I think it's awesome. I do think Bucky Irving may end up taking that running back spot because he was just much more efficient. Stay tuned for that one. Shocker here. Two of the best defenses in the NFL. One played like it. One got dicked.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that score is also a lot closer than what it was,
yes.
because of a garbage time touchdown. Well, not on the record.
Yeah. This was a very close game, went overtime. Awesome. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Right team won. I'm on track for my Detroit Lions #1 seed pick. So hopefully that continues. This game, the Jets and the 49ers. We couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah, that was
CMC didn't play. Jordan Mason ran for like 140 yards.
That's the thing. We were wrong, and we didn't even account for CMC not playing when we made our pick.
Yeah.
I will say, out of a consolation prize, I was 1 point off the tiebreaker guess.
I was not. I thought it'd be like 35 points.
I guessed 52. It was 51. So
that's pretty
give
cool.
me something.
But yeah, so I ended up going 8-8. Hopefully next week goes better. But how did your last week go? Take a look and see.
Well, I kicked your ass. Went 9-7, baby. Now, look, some of the ones we were, look, Ravens, Chiefs, they could play that game 9 times. They could play that game 10 times. Ravens win it 9. Chiefs just so happened to win it the 1 time, So it is what it is. The refs robbed Isaiah Likely and myself from a touchdown and my Lamar Jackson fantasy quarterback and my prize picks bet. They robbed me, and I need compensation. But that was a good game. It was an exciting one. It was a good first NFL game. I'll say the first 2 NFL games of the season were great. Packers, Eagles. That field in Brazil looked rough.
Yeah.
I was surprised not more people didn't get injured. It's unfortunate to see Jordan Love go down, especially on the second to last play of the game.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how the Packers do now because, the NFC North is tough. And with them being with a backup quarterback for these first 4 weeks, they play Minnesota. I think they play Detroit. So that's 2 conference games or division games.
If they don't win at least 3 of these next 5.
Yeah, they might be rough.
Sledding.
I'm with you. I was surprised that the Steelers won, especially considering they didn't score a touchdown. Justin Fields didn't look that great, but I saw he's going to be the starter again this week. But, I mean, the steel curtain is built around their defense. They have been for years. So they're going to do what they can do, I guess. And the Falcons, besides Bijan, they really didn't look great.
So Drake London was disappointing, but it all came back to Kirk Cousins. He should have thrown 4 picks.
Yeah. So that was a shock. I'm with you on Carolina or on the Cardinals here. That was a good game, actually. Cardinals didn't look that bad. Buffalo didn't look that great, I guess. I don't know.
First half was bad for Buffalo.
They turned it on in the second half, though. Yeah.
Bad Josh Allen first half. MVP caliber Josh Allen second half.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But that was a good game, and it came down to the end. So I'm interested to see how Cardinals do this year because they're able to hold their own with a, in theory, Super Bowl contender in Buffalo.
Powerhouse team.
But Chicago, look, I never had a doubt. Caleb Williams knew he was going to come through. He really willed and carried that team to victory. Even though they scored a special teams and a defensive touchdown. So
he willed them to victory by clapping on the sideline.
Shout out to Caleb Williams and the Bears. Like we said about the Houston Colts game, that was an exciting one, and it's going to be exciting to see them play again this year. CJ Stroud looked like he picked up where he left off. Joe Mixon surprised me. I definitely thought they were going to be throwing the ball a lot more than they did, and Joe Mixon had like 26 carries for like 180 something yards. He balled out, and I think he's the top fantasy player right now, points wise. So
he's up there.
He did great.
He's up there.
Miami, we had that kind of surprising news with Tyreek getting arrested before the game. So I think after that, we knew they were going to win. We picked them. We just lost by half a point, unfortunately. But that was a game was kind of disappointing because neither team wanted to win. Yeah, they didn't look great at all. Jalen Waddle didn't really do that great for me. So if we could start force feeding him the ball, that'd be great. We'll see. We even talked about this one, and I even said last week that I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots cover this because usually when there's big spreads like this week 1, the teams don't cover. And you know what happened? The team lost outright.
Yeah. Shocker.
Now, look, the Patriots look great. Ramondre Stevenson ran the ball really well. Their defense looked good. So, I mean, I don't think the Patriots are going to be shocking teams this year. Like, I don't think the Patriots will make the playoffs, but maybe they'll be a little bit better than everybody expected. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I just should have known better, like you said. Did not see the Saints winning by 37 points against the Panthers. I have a friend that's a Saints fan, and like I said, he claims that they're going to beat Dallas this week and they're going to not lose a game this season. They're probably going to lose this week and next week because they play the Chiefs, I think, and then in 2 more weeks they play the Eagles. So there's a good chance they start off 1-4, but Carolina Panthers are probably going to start off 0-5. I wouldn't be surprised if they have the number 1 pick. Did they even have their pick this year? Or did they trade that away also?
I think this is the first year they get it back.
Okay.
I think. I could be wrong. I will have to look into that.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll know for next time, but I that could be wrong.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with the Vikings, Sam Darnold, he looked good. The Giants looked bad, but the defense for the Vikings was lights out. Look, I'm a big fan of Brian Flores. I think he's one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the league. He is a very aggressive defensive coordinator, and they saw that. They had 6 or 7 sacks. They had a pick 6, and they gave up 2 field goals. That's it. They didn't give a touchdown. The defense looked great, and the defense allowed the offense to be able to establish the run and play slow. And yeah, Aaron Jones looked great also. I had him in one of my leagues last week, and really happy with it.
Yeah, a whole lot better than Alexander Madison, that's for sure.
Yeah, I sent Ricky something, and in the first game, Aaron Jones has as many rushing touchdowns as Alexander Madison had in all of last season. So, looking to build on that next week. But look, I stood by my statement here. I stand on business. Sean Payton, not a good coach. Seattle exposed that. With Bo Nix, Seattle exposed that. Look, I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch the game, but Kenneth Walker went off for me. I'm not really sure how Geno looked. I know you were complaining about DK not really getting his fair share, but this was expected.
DK needs to act like a big receiver.
Yeah, he needs to use his size. Yeah, I think we've been saying that for years, though, but this doesn't surprise me. Expected. Seattle's going to be a pretty solid team. They're going to compete for a wild card. Broncos probably won't. So, like you said, Harbaugh, Chargers. This is going to be a physical team. J.K. Dobbins went off. I saw a clip of Harbaugh and Herbert on the sideline where Harbaugh was just smacking him on the pads, and it was like, oh my God, Herbert's never had a coach that's loved him like this or whatever. And I'm like, that's whatever. But the Raiders, look, I don't think they're going to be that good this year. I like Gardner Minshew just like you do, but when he's your starting quarterback, I think you're kind of capped at 6 games that you win max. Surprised by this one, Tampa. They looked great. Jaden Daniels looked pretty solid for Washington, though. I know he made some plays with his legs, but until he can get that connection with Terry McLaurin, they're going to struggle. Because if there's no connection there, their offense isn't moving. Look, Dallas, they came out and they looked good, and then the second half they looked rusty, but the defense looked elite. The defense, losing Dan Quinn, bringing in Mike Zimmer, they picked up right where they left off. You had role players making plays that weren't doing anything last year. The much improved players, Mozzie Smith, like you said, DeMarvin Overshown returning and looked great. Rookie Kalen Carson, corner, for the most part, locked up Amari Cooper. So that's a sight to see. Cleveland, they've got another tough game next week, but I do think they'll bounce back some. Like I said, I'm picking Amari Cooper in my team. I do think he'll start getting his shares. It's going to help when they're not facing a top 5 defense in the league. So the Rams and Lions game, that was super exciting. Overtime. So for the first Sunday night game of the season to go overtime was sweet.
All the primetime games hit.
Yeah, they were all really good, except for Monday night, really. But Jared Goff looked good. Sam Laporta seemed to pick up where he left off. The defense looks solid. I'm excited to see how the Lions do. They're going to be a good team, but I think the Rams are going to be able to hold their own in the NFC West also. They looked, they looked decent. So that division's always tough. I mean, it's always the 49ers to have, but the Seahawks and the Rams could both be competing for wild card spots, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the biggest disappointment, Aaron Rodgers is officially washed. The Jets, not good. Breece Hall didn't even look that great. 49ers had their backup running back in, and he ran all over. So is CMC actually that great, or is it, is he a system running back? I don't know.
A system running back. Huh? I mean, he was great in Carolina too, so it's not the
That's
system.
fair.
But
That's
I
fair.
will say the scheme in San Francisco allows any running back to look good.
We could
Look
be
at
back there.
Mostert. Look at Mostert. Look at Jeff Wilson Jr. Look at Matt Breida. I mean, there's the list goes on with running backs they've had who just tear their knees up and then just are playing, and they're playing well. I mean,
I'd be interested to see the number of starting running backs the 49ers had prior to CMC coming in. Like the last like 5-6 years. Yeah, I mean they probably had 10 running backs over 5-6 years.
They were all really good. Got hurt, went somewhere else,
and then somebody took over when they got hurt. Yeah, but okay. So Rick, you want to go ahead and hop over to our week 2 picks? Run us through real quick who you're picking, what you're thinking.
Yeah, we're gonna be pretty quick here because we kind of talked about most of the teams. This game's Thursday night game. It's the Bills versus Dolphins. I think the Bills will win this game.
Okay.
I believe second half Josh Allen, MVP Josh Allen shows up for this game against the Dolphins, divisional rivalry. So I'm going to take the Bills here. Cowboys, big spread. They're going to win. They're going to win big.
6.5's a lot.
6.5 points is a lot of points. The defense, the Saints, they just can't handle the pass rush. We've got solid linebackers who are actual linebackers now. We didn't even mention Kendricks.
Yeah, he had a great game.
And he had 2 sacks and an interception. Played really well, was flying all over the place, getting people in the right spots. Cowboys win easy. This is a tough game. Big spread. I don't think the spread's going to be this big.
Yeah, because these are both teams that are coming off great week 1s.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa won, but I predict Detroit's going to win, but Tampa covers. That's where I'm going with this one. I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa won, though, but that's kind of my thought process here. I just think the Colts win this one. I don't think Malik Willis is very good.
Yeah, is he going to be the guy this week? I saw some links to Tannehill, but I mean, obviously he wouldn't be in time, but
I'd be shocked. I just think Anthony Richardson sits down, watches some film.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit off the pass. A.D. Mitchell gets a couple touchdowns. But the Packers, I think, are going to go on a rough skid here. I really debated picking this one. I really did.
It's a tough one to pick.
If it was 2.5 points, I'd probably pick Tennessee.
Fair. Why?
But I don't know. Man.
Wait, why not? Why? You'd be better off picking them at 3.5 because it gives you an extra point for them.
Oh shit! I read that one backwards. I thought Tennessee was favored.
No.
By 3.5. I'm fucking switching it.
All right, we have a live substitution.
Yeah, I read that backwards. Yeah, no. If it was 2.5, I thought I would have. But I think Tennessee wins. I don't. They're gonna need a few weeks to get it going. Rodgers is rusty. Tennessee looked decent, man. Other than Will Levis sucking.
Well, that's a big part of it.
I think this is going to be another field goal game. If you got kickers in your fantasy leagues, pick these 2 up. San Francisco, Minnesota. This is going to be a tough game.
Yeah. I think a big thing right now is McCaffrey going to play or not? I've seen some reports saying he isn't. Then I've seen some reports saying he is. So
I may do another swap here, actually.
You're killing me, man.
I don't think McCaffrey's going to play. I'm swapping it. Doing another live switch. I'm doing it. That's how some of these games go, man.
Is this line reflecting him not playing?
I don't know.
If he gets out, is it going to switch?
I don't know. But I think, you know what? I'm going to stand up. I think Minnesota wins.
Wow.
Outright.
Wow.
I'm going to go outright.
My dad's going to like that.
I think they're going to win. They looked really good. CMC plays. I don't think they win. Let's just be clear.
Okay.
But if he doesn't,
he's already breaking out all the asterisks and the caveats now. I can't wait end of the season when I won by 1 game, and he's like, "Oh, remember that one when I said that they would win if he didn't?"
Absolutely. This was a weird game to pick too. I think I look at these teams in the same tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, but I think the Seahawks are just a bit better, and I think they'll probably win like 26-20 or something like that. That's
close game.
My thought.
This could be a close one where it's like a 1-point win, 2-point win, and you get screwed by the spread. You know?
Yeah, it could be like a game-winning field goal for the win, like the Miami game was. This one, God, Daniel Jones is just abysmal, man. He's just so bad.
Yeah.
He's so bad. That's why. Period. Daniel Jones sucks. Big spread here again. I don't think the spread's big enough.
Yeah, I think that week 1 loss really opened up a lot of people's eyes for the Panthers.
The Chargers defense played extremely well. Their offense played well. I think this spread could be 16 points, and I'd still pick the Chargers. Like,
you're talking college football spreads now.
Yeah. I think the Jaguars need to bounce back. They had the game. They should have won. A fumble by ETN was hurt them.
Yeah.
I don't think Deshaun Watson's very good either. Another quarterback that just doesn't have it mentally. I know his dad died. He's getting sued again. There's a whole bunch of crap going on, but he's just a shit quarterback at this point.
Yeah.
And you can't trade his contract unless you can void all those guarantees. You can cut his ass. But
there you go.
I think Jacksonville has to take this one. They have to. Another very large spread here.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one.
Minshew, Lamar. I'm picking the Ravens. They have to bounce back. They're gonna have a statement game here. It's gonna be an ass whooping.
Fair enough. Okay.
I think Lamar gets a rushing touchdown, 3 passing.
I hope so.
Henry will get a touchdown. It's kind of what I'm seeing here. It's gonna be an ass kicking for sure. I was happy to see this was a pick 'em, basically.
Yeah.
Because that I agree, it should be.
Crazy me, 73% of the money is on the Rams.
Yeah, wild. I do think the Rams are gonna win. That's
okay.
kind of that's where I'm at. They just have a little bit better synergy. They don't have a bunch of new pieces on the offense. You know, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl champions, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray haven't done shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of where I'm going there.
Fair enough.
I'm taking one out of your book. Sean Payton shit coach against the Steelers defense. So I'm picking them to win outright. It's going to be nothing but field goals again. Justin Fields is going to win 6 games this year and never score a touchdown.
That'd be crazy. That'd be a crazy stat.
Yeah, it would. With how the Bengals looked, I really don't think this spread's big enough either.
Yeah.
Joe is Mahomes' kryptonite, but that team
he's also banged up. He's got a bad wrist now, so.
Yeah. And the Bengals don't play well the first few weeks of the season every year.
Yeah.
It's just like clockwork. They always lose like the first 3 games. Like when a few years ago the Cowboys beat them with Cooper Rush.
Yep, we were at that game.
Like what are you guys doing? Come on now, you shouldn't lose to a Cooper Rush led team.
It is what it is.
6.5 points here. I think it's too much. I think Texans win. Chicago defense keeps them in it. Thought process there. This one also spread is large.
Yeah.
That's why I think they just cover. Like this could be a 26-20 type game or a 20-14, somewhere around there. But I just don't have faith in Jalen Hurts. Period. He's just not a good quarterback, in my opinion. He's middle of the road.
The tush push doesn't work anymore either without Kelsey.
I do hope Saquon keeps going off. He can keep doing what he's doing. That's great.
Yeah, it's because you got him in fantasy.
Absolutely, 100%. Other than that, I don't want him to do well at all. But I'm rooting for Kirk in Atlanta. I think it'd just be so funny for the whitest guy ever to go to Atlanta and play well at the quarterback position and to win something. You know, it'd be great. But I just don't see it happening. But I think they lose. Philly's going to win the game, but I'm praying they cover here. So those are my picks. I'll turn it over to you, let you go over yours, and let's see how I'm going to make up the 1 game difference here.
So we've got quite a few different picks this week. So I can't remember off the top of my head which ones we differ in, but we have quite a few. Starting off from the rip here, I'm going with the Dolphins. I think they kind of iron out some of the kinks. They had a lot of adversity before last week's game. One of their star players got arrested. Another player pulls up and almost gets arrested. So I think just the team was a little shook. You know, they didn't know what to expect. They didn't know, hey, is Tyree going to play? So at the back of the head, they're like, oh, shit, is something going to happen? So I think they bounce back here. Hopefully he doesn't get arrested this time prior to kickoff. I like the Dolphins on this. I think we're going to get more of the first half Bills. I think we're going to get more of the interceptions and fumbles from the Bills and not those from the Dolphins. I don't know. I'm a hater when it comes to any quarterback other than Dak Prescott, really, now. So I got to point out whenever they have faults. Yeah, you know how you said earlier about whoever's playing the Panthers being a 16-point favorite? I feel very similar to that with this Cowboys-Saints game. I think the Cowboys probably win this by 3 scores. It's at home versus Saints. Dak's going to get a big welcome being the, quarterback for the next 4 or 5 years here at home again. So, yeah, I like Dallas there. Now I'm going with Tampa. And this is a tough one because that's a lot of points for 2 good teams. If this was like a 2-point spread, I might say, okay, let me take the Lions. But 6.5 points just feels free to me, especially considering the Bucks might win this one outright. So give me the points there. I had originally forgot about Jordan Love being injured, and I had originally picked the Packers. Then I remembered he's injured, so I'm switching to the Colts. With Jordan Love, Packers probably win this game. Without him, it's the Colts. Anthony Richardson, look, everybody thinks he played great last week because he had that 70-yard touchdown pass. But I'm pretty sure in his first 9 completions, he had 85 yards, and 69 of them came from one play. So I don't know.
Well, news to you, he only had 9 completions total.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, was he 9 for 19 or something? How do you throw? How does an NFL quarterback throw 40% completion percentage? I could do better than that.
Hey, he was rocketing him, man. He was throwing him.
That's fair, but like I said, I think the Colts win this one. The Packers are going to go in a little bit of a rough stretch these next 4 or 5 weeks without Jordan Love. Now, opposite of you, I think Rodgers will bounce back. Tennessee's not that good. They were playing against probably the best team in the NFL last week. So I think Rodgers will bounce back. They're going to kind of iron out some of those kinks. He had a good connection with Garrett Wilson the first drive, and then he threw him the ball 1 time the remainder of the game. So he really screwed me in FanDuel last week. So expect him to bounce back, but probably not going to put either of them on my fantasy team for the remainder of the year. So I'm with you here. I picked the Vikings without, I don't care if CMC plays or not. And the Vikings might lose by 3. They might lose by 4, but rather than Sam Darnold, I have a lot of faith in the defense there. They played really good. Now, granted, the Giants' offense isn't good, but, I think Minnesota plays well against good teams. They beat the 49ers last year, week 2, with Kirk Cousins. So maybe history repeats itself. I don't know, but I got faith in the new Red Rocket, Sam Darnold. We're both here with the Seahawks, and I agree. I think these are pretty similar teams with where they're at. I think the Seahawks are probably slightly better. They looked good last week. I expect them to continue that. And I think they win this game, but wouldn't be surprised if they win by 1 point, 2 points. But I do think they definitely win this one. I was split on the Giants Commanders. Part of me thinks that Brian DeBoll was going to iron some things out. And you got to remember, we're 2 years removed from the Giants winning a playoff game. Now, granted, they had Saquon back then, and they don't now, but they're still...
Yeah, that's still a wild timeline to
there's
think
still
about.
Something in there, and they also have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. I completely forgot about them trading for Brian Burns until they said his 100%. Name. But I do think that offense sucks, and Jaden Daniels and the Commanders' offense looked pretty decent. Like I said, once he connects with Terry McLaurin, they could get some things moving. The defense is still good, so I like Washington to cover the points there, but I expect it to be a close one. But I like it Washington could hit a game-winning field goal and cover. So I'm with you also here. Panthers looked like a Pop Warner team. In fact, I'm pretty sure our Pop Warner team growing up could have beat the Panthers.
I could have thrown better passes than Bryce
Young
was.
I wouldn't. I'm picking the Chargers here, and I would pick the Chargers if it was 10 points still. Wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers just pull something out their ass and win this game out, right?
Yeah,
just because that's how it goes. That's how it goes. I mean, we weren't expecting the Patriots to win last week, and we see what happens. So, yeah. But Jacksonville here, I think they bounce back. I think they start to protect the ball a little bit. Travis Etienne, I think, had 2 fumbles last week. Don't expect that to happen again this week. Cleveland's defense is better than Miami's, so it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. But I think the Jaguars, Doug Peterson gets that team cleaned up a little bit, less turnovers, less mistakes, and get back to playing how they did at the end of last year.
Yeah.
9.5 points is a lot. for a team that, I mean, like, I don't think Vegas looked horrible last week. They didn't look good. They should not be more of an underdog than the Panthers are, and they are. Ravens did look good, but they also looked human. They looked like they could be beat. I mean, they did get beat, I guess. So I like the points here. That's purely 9.5 points is a big line to cover in the NFL. So we're running with the numbers here. Now I'm opposite of you here. I'm going with the Cardinals, and it's a pick 'em, so but I thought Kyler looked pretty decent last week. I think there's still a lot that they can improve on. They didn't get the ball to either of their two best pass catchers in Marvin Harrison or Trey McBride. So I think they're going to try to figure out this week of, hey, how can we get the ball into the hands of these playmakers other than James Conner? If they want to just keep force feeding James Conner, I'm okay with it though. But I think the Cardinals win this one, but it's going to be a tight game like it always is. Now, I will continue to die on this hill that Sean Payton, not a great coach, but I don't think the Steelers' offense is that great, and I don't think they're going to be able to win games week in, week out by just kicking field goals. I think another game removed for Bo Nix, similar to the Caleb Williams conversation last week or earlier today of him being kind of, nerves and everything. Or first game, Bo Nix had the nerves in his first game. I think he's going to look better this week, and I just don't really trust the Steelers' offense to put up points, if we're being honest.
Interesting. I figured this was a lock for you. If I'd have picked a mortal lock for you, it would have been the Steelers.
Nope, I don't do those. Especially not for... That's a shit game, so that could go either way. Chiefs, Bengals. I'm taking the Chiefs here. Very similar discourse to you that Bengals really aren't good early in the season. They're like, what is it? They've lost like 4 of their last 5 opening week games. They don't look good week 1.
Usually they start so slow.
Chiefs started off pretty hot and they look good. Xavier Worthy looked good. I expect them to get the ball to Kelsey more this week and run the ball a little bit better. But I think Chiefs win this by 2 scores probably. Now I'm opposite of you. You were taking the Bears. You like the points. I like the Texans here. The Bears lose that game if they didn't get a special teams and a defensive touchdown or however it worked out. Their offense was pretty anemic, not able to do anything. And I think there's going to be some growing pains as they got a rookie quarterback. He's learning the NFL. He's learning the team. Meanwhile, the Texans are full of a bunch of vets or returning players. And CJ Stroud looked like he picked up right where he left off from. Joe Mixon ran all over the place. I think the Texans win this one. And, I think this is where their paths kind of start to go. If Cleveland is going to be middle of the pack, Texans are going to probably push towards the upper echelon of the AFC. And then lastly, the Battle of the Birds, Eagles, Falcons. I'm taking Eagles here, and really only one reason. If this was on Sunday at noon, I'd probably take the Falcons because I like the points. But you got to remember who their quarterback is, Kirk O'Chains. The thing with Kirk is him winning in prime time, and he really hasn't been able to do it. And this game's Monday night, prime time.
I see we both picked 42 points for the... How about that?
How's the tiebreaker? Oh, I guess I don't know how the tiebreaker worked for that. But yeah, I think the Eagles win this one outright, and I think they cover.
So I Falcons, picked a lot more underdogs than you this time.
Well, sometimes it's, sometimes you got to differ from the pack, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm picking, let's see. I'm picking the Broncos, which is an underdog, Cardinals, which is an underdog, Raiders, which is an underdog, Vikings.
Did you say the Ravens were an underdog?
Raiders. I'm picking 4 dogs based off of the percent pick.
5. Got 5 dogs based off percent picked.
So 4, 5, same, but different, But, yeah. Look, I'm excited for this week. Going into week 1, there's a lot of uncertainties, especially when it comes to the fantasy aspect of who's going to do well, who's going to, get the kind of line shares of touches and catches. But Rick, any last words before we wrap this thing up?
All I need is a win for the Dallas Cowboys on my birthday. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I would greatly appreciate that. I was talking to somebody the other day about it. Like, this past weekend was a good weekend for me as a sports fan.
It was. Texas went on Saturday. Cowboys went on Sunday.
And a Cowboys fan, we don't get many of those where it lines up.
Yeah, it's usually one or the other.
Yeah, and it always has been that way my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's just great that we had like one weekend where we kicked the shit out of a good team in college, kicked the shit out of a decent team in the NFL, and it was just good. I had a good sports weekend, and I was like, wow, this is what it feels to be like Alabama fans.
Yeah, Alabama and Chiefs fans.
Yeah, it was great. It was a good weekend. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah, well, look, let's hope that week continues. Let's hope we see some more success in the fantasy space. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Cheers.